the fuel of every good bike ride I've done. Flapjack.
Come on, let's get the one thing front. The guy I was riding with was clearly a novice.
Yeah.
Can you tell where I am yet?
Geography slash bearings around here aren't brilliant, but I think if that hill straight ahead of us, we go straight up. Watch these dogs. Car down as well, go easy. So you joined my dad and I from an absolutely beautiful morning in the Dee Valley, not far from Llangollen. We just come down the coast road, the coach road, which goes halfway or goes between Llangollen and Corwen. Stopped on this bridge to film my intro because I think you all know I love a bridge. We also need to fast because we're about to do a hill called the Grim. The Grim is a hill I've never done before. I'd say maybe the biggest hill in the northeast of Wales that I've never cycled. And some stats for it are the initial 1.5 kilometres has 200 metres of elevation, give or take. So it's about an average of 15%. I think my maths is right there. And then it carries on for another 1.5 kilometres bobbling along. So total 3 kilometres climbed, average 9.1%. But it'll be very, very tough. Fortunately, I don't think you've met my summer bike, my Look 785 Huez. It climbs much better than my Boardman, lovely bike, so I've got no excuses for when I'm quite slow up the Grim. And what a view here. Dad's just getting changed here with his nice Trekmod on. So, I don't think there's much more to say on this, apart from my rough plan of attack is going to be front load, absolutely front load it, like blow all my beans on the first 1.5k, 15%, and then just hang on for dear life. That's what I do anyway, because I can't pace a climb for the life of me, but maybe today it's worthwhile. So I'll switch over to my handlebar cam.
You can see the climb here on the right starts immediately. There was that ominous road closed sign, but luckily it's for Monday. The road surface for this first bit is pretty poor, so I didn't mind that they're going to hopefully resurface it and make it even nicer. It's steep immediately, and I'm not sure how well the camera brings that out, but I believe it's sort of, 15-20% straight away up here. I don't know if any of you guys are Garmin 530 users. I absolutely love my Garmin 530. It does a load of amazing things, but sometimes I find there's information overload, so I just want a really simple data screen when I'm climbing, and then a screen comes up in front of that. It's like, oh, you're on a climb now, and yes, I know, and then my Strava screen comes up, and yes, I know, and then the directions come up, and yes, I know. Like, I'm sure I can turn all that off, but anyway. Here's my squeaking overshoe again, I do apologise. I just wanted you to see sort of how quickly it feels like you climb up here. The start of this climb isn't particularly picturesque. You're in trees and it's, well, as you can see, the view is not remarkable. It's a good number of yellow bins, so for yellow bin aficionados, that's excellent. But otherwise, yeah, fairly unremarkable. I had thought I would be mostly out of the saddle here, but actually I did most of it seated with a higher cadence than normal. So although the power's relatively high for me, I thought I'd sit down because I needed a bit of traction. Basically there's loads of crap on the road and I needed some rear wheel traction. And I'm glad in hindsight that I didn't go too much out of the saddle and really burn those slow twitch fibre muscles, because I didn't realise that the steepest section of this is a little while further on yet. Not fantastic pacing power-wise. I'm sort of fluctuating a bit, and makes sense. Couple of minutes into the climb, that's when, you know, over threshold efforts start to burn somewhat. And I think I always do this. I'd hit the point of saying, oh, I realise that I can't hold this 380 to 400 watts that I had been doing the whole way, so I need to rein it in. But then it's hard to get into a different, more steady state rhythm. Especially when I just see my dad's flashing light up ahead of me, having that kind of carrot to chase. I think it gives you an idea of quite how steep it is that I'm going, 8 or 9 kilometers an hour at 360 watts, and my dad's doing similar there. So you can see he's got a very different approach to me, which is sit down, spin, and my dad's got a really nice low ratio gearing. In fact, I think he's got I can't remember if it's a 32 front chainring and a 34 rear. I think that's what it is. So you heard that right, it's a less than 1 ratio, just so we can sit and spin up these. But that's not how I get the power down. The climb really changes here, and I think it improves significantly from this point onwards. This is an excellent cattle grid, by the way. Well done. Well done, people of Wales. Gets a bit scary straight after it though, because you can see the road getting steep and snaking around there. So that is intimidating.
I just deployed the 34 cassette. 36, 34. Tells you that I'm struggling.
Struggling indeed. It's pretty rough here, and it takes a bit of mental fortitude. The gradient is wrong, definitely. This is the steepest section of the climb, and it really took a bit of commitment to tell myself that I was going to dig in, and I'm going to keep my legs spinning, and I can see up ahead of me, and I need to keep pushing. On the bright side, the view was amazing. The road surface had improved significantly from the lower down section, and there was some shelter. There you go, me giving myself a pep talk to keep my breathing under control. I was thinking, what would Piglet be saying to me? He'd be saying, don't be hyperventilating for no reason. It doesn't matter. Most of this is still seated, which is a departure from my normal hill climb technique.
Hello, Ben. I was very sorry to see your sibling get destroyed. I'd love to.
There you go. That's me slightly losing my mind, wishing me yellow bin, my condolences because another yellow bin somewhere else was destroyed. Things like that really get me through through these climbs. I don't know how I had the breath for such a stupid thing, but there you go. I apologise that my rear camera was on the wonk, by the way. I hope you don't get a crick in your neck looking at that. I sort of figured from my Google Maps and my Strava prep for this climb that I must have been approaching the first false summit of this climb, and I knew there were 2 false summits, both with descents after them, before the actual summit. So that kind of motivated me to just keep the pedals turning, keep the chain tight, even as the gradient slackens off a bit. And I'm kind of okay on a steadily steep climb, but on these that have flatter sections and have even downhill sections, I really struggle to change the manner in which I put power out. When there's a steep gradient to fight, I can stand up and muscle through it and put out a decent amount of power. But when I have to do that for a while, And then you need to sit down, get your cadence up, and go into more of a steady state threshold power output. I really struggle, and I find myself doing well below threshold powers, which obviously is not ideal in the slightest. I'll take a moment to say it felt like spring had well and truly sprung on this ride. I didn't put a temperature gauge on here because no one really cares, but it was like 14 or 15 degrees. I was warm in my light long sleeve layer, and really enjoying it. Look at that beautiful blue sky. Further down in the valleys, daffodils were out everywhere. We're getting into wild garlic season. I love wild garlic season in Wales because all the river valleys smell like a delicious meal. You see that view behind me. I couldn't really appreciate it at the time, but yeah, it was really spectacular up there at points. And I guess one of the drawbacks of this climb, not that there are many, is that it doesn't end with a spectacular view as such. It's kind of a different point, but along the way, there's so much to see. You can see me fiddling with my Garmin again, and that's basically me needing a carrot to chase, so I want to get off my basic data screen, which just has my power, the gradient, and the speed, and I want to see the Strava segment. I want to see who I'm racing to try and motivate me, because I knew this was coming. So this is now a descent. And actually here, I tried to think again of what would I do in Zwift. You know, carry momentum down the climb, treat it as a rest, but also carry momentum so that I can fire straight up and over that small lump. And actually I think I did that quite well. I know I love to complain about the way I've done things, but I think I did well at carrying that speed so I didn't lose momentum before this not so steep section. And in my head now, I thought it's okay to burn matches. There's not too long left, so just absolutely go for it. And you can see how that's going with my power, that I'm doing it and I'm going VO2, and then I'm realising that I've got a load of fatigue in my legs and I'm not able to sustain VO2, and it drops right down, and it's a bit of a cycle, which probably isn't the most efficient way to climb this hill. And a bit of that comes from not knowing it well, not knowing how long these pitch sections are. But part of it just comes from not being in the shape I want to be in, and knowing how long I can sustain these powers before my legs hit a wall, really. Full disclosure, it was incredibly windy, and a lot of that felt like it was in my face, but on this section, it is a howling tailwind. So I'm struggling to put power down. I am going up a decent climb, and yet I'm going really quite fast for going uphill. So I don't want you to think I'm just always saying, oh, the conditions were against me. I really did have, on this section, the conditions in my favour. I loved this part. Uphill, nearly a 40-kilometre corner with an immediate sharp rise out around a little lake. Beautiful. I love a feature like that on a climb, just to make things interesting. So it's not just man versus hill, there's something worth seeing. And I knew the end was in sight now, so I thought big punch round here, out of the saddle. And then it'll be a case of sitting down and just gritting my teeth for maybe a couple more minutes. I think I got that really depressing notification on my head unit here of KOM finished, which is, maybe for some people that's motivating. For me, it's absolutely soul destroying. And as soon as I see it, I go, well, who cares now? There you go. So I really did know it was in sight. I promise you there's no way I'd be doing 500 watts up a hill unless I knew that I I was going to get some respite very soon because I can't clear that lactate well. Strava segment ends here, but I didn't really want to stop riding because I could see that the gradient isn't quite flat yet. So I wanted to push over until it was truly downhill all the way to Bryneglwys.
Oh, a terrible time. 12:31.
So that's when I found out that I'd done 12:31. In my head, this was a shorter climb, so I thought 12:31 was like 4 minutes slower than the common. I was fuming. It's not a terrible time. It's not a brilliant time, but it's not a terrible time by any measure.
I suspect you can't see the view behind me, but it goes all the way out to Snowdonia over the Denby wind farms. Beautiful. I'm going to turn around and try and find my dad now. I was 2.5 minutes behind Giles, KOM holder always. Not a great time, not a great average power for me. So, live and learn, hey. Not in the shape I wanted to be in with the Snowdonia Sportif in 2 weeks, but getting there. Rather than whinging there, what I should have said is, what an incredible climb. I can't believe I've never done it.
So the day after as well, I really should echo that. I thought it was an absolutely brilliant climb. It is a firm favourite straight away for me. It's got so much to it. Different sort of technical sections and different ways to approach it, and views for days. That lake, I can't get past it. We'll go over it again now. I absolutely love that little section. So when I said you can't see the views earlier, I know you'll be thinking, well, I can see some hills, but I'll say it every time, the wide angle lens doesn't do justice for just how far you can see. You could make out proper mountains on the horizon of the view before, but you just can't quite see it with these cameras, which is a shame, but that's okay, because I was there and I enjoyed it, and if you take my word for it, if you have a go of this hill, you will not regret it. It's a bit of a dick move here.
Not far, Dad. I'm just going to go and get
I turned around to go and meet my dad, and instead I was thinking about, well, let's look at a good view the other way. Kind of cruel. But equally, he was doing well actually, absolutely fine. And this last section, he had that nice tailwind as I'm riding into this howling headwind. It was worth it though, to see the view that I wasn't able to appreciate earlier.
I'll leave it there. Where we're looking now is Castell Dinas Bran over Llangollen, just from the other side. Beautiful.
I never know if you guys are bothered at all about this, but because I can't always go back down the way I came up, I would have been pointing the wrong way. I just put in a little bit of the descent. It wasn't a particularly remarkable descent. Got up a nice bit of speed, and there's a nice view over, I don't really know where this is looking out to, Bryneglwys, and I guess the Clwydian Hills in the distance there. So yeah, it was a fun descent, and it's a nice surface. I've only bothered leaving in the good bit, which goes to this gate. So I'm just filming a bit of an outro. Morning after the ride, I've just been doing some Zone 2 Zwifting, hence being in the pain cave and in gear. Also, I said I'd never wear this cap. Rhiannon said you'll start wearing it ironically, and then you'll be wearing it unironically. And here I am, unironically wearing this cap that doesn't suit me in the slightest. So let's flip over to my ride from yesterday. Terrible name, nothing grim about that, very funny, Nick. For some reason it ended short in Rhewl, only like, I don't know, 8 or 9k short of my house. My Garmin just stopped, but never mind, would have been 2,000 metres of elevation. It was a hard ride, there was a really strong headwind, but what we're here to talk about is the grim. So there you go, you can see that for 12.5 minutes I averaged 321 watts. That is, let's see, let's get calculator open. 321 divided by 66, 4.86 watts per kilo. It's not very good for 12.5 minutes. I should be able to do that for longer. 22nd of all time. And maybe if we very quickly look at the leaderboard, we'll get some more stats. So you can see that profile. You can see, I mean, I know I've ridden it, so you know what it's like, but pretty rough, that. Upsettingly, when I got home, I was the fastest person this year, and 2 guys also rode it yesterday and were faster than me. So, want to repeat, now I know it a bit better. Thanks for watching the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed that.